Hi, I'm Z.S. Caravel from ZK Research, and I'm doing another ZK tour. I'm here today at Penn, which is the home of Cisco in New York City. What we're going to do today is we're going to tour their office space. Obviously, a lot's changed over the last couple of years, and people are bringing people back to the office, and that's a big initiative for companies. But the office space of today can't look like the office space of yesterday. And so there's no better way to demonstrate what the office space of today in a hybrid world needs to look like than to just show you. So let's go up to the Cisco offices, have a look around at the newly revamped spaces, and I think you'll enjoy what you see. So let's go up.
Hey, good afternoon.
So I'm in the Cisco building now. I'm joined by Mark Miller, who was part of the design team that put Penn Plaza together.
Yeah.
So this is a completely different space than I remember the last time I came to Penn Plaza. So can you give us an idea of what some of the design concepts are? What were you thinking, and how did you get to this point?
Yeah. So this is a really interesting space. This is the first space that we designed and launched post-pandemic. So we've actually been in this building since the mid-90s. We've actually been on this floor since 2005.
Yeah, I've been here a few times. It didn't look like this.
It didn't look like this. Yeah. We used to call this place the land of despair and misery. 150 desks, 16 bookable meeting rooms, just basic cubicle, very traditional work environment. Actually, we got the funding to actually transform this space before the pandemic. And at that time, I will tell you, it was really interesting. Our biggest discussion was where our people were going to work during the construction project. Well, obviously the pandemic took care of that.
Well timed.
Right, and the fact is that we were able to rethink how we were going to work post-pandemic in this space. There were really four things that we thought about when we were thinking about designing this space. First, we had to rebalance the workspaces to meet the needs of hybrid work. As you said, the old environment, 70% of the space was dedicated to individuals, 30% to collaboration. We actually flopped that. Yeah. We actually turned that upside down. We went from 16 bookable meeting rooms to over 90 video-enabled collaboration spaces. Because when people come to the office, it's to collaborate, and typically with people that are working.
And everything's video-enabled now.
Everything is video-enabled. 20% of the video stays in the open plan. The second thing is we have a goal of being net zero by 2040. So this building is 100% low voltage. Everything's on the network. Every shading motor, every light, every thermostat, every environmental control, it's all in the network. Gives us tremendous flexibility on how to manage the environment to meet our goals of being a more sustainable company.
We've been talking about the coming together of OT and IT for a long time, so this is the actualization of that.
Yeah, the OT network is bigger than the IT network in this building or in this office. So it's really amazing how that all comes together. The third thing was a focus on health and wellness, right? The WELL standard. We focused on bringing natural daylight in. We focused on thermal comfort. We thought about the things that would make people want to come back to the office. You know, after being out for so long, we were out for 750 days. We realized that the workplace has got to work harder to earn the trust and respect of people. So we need to be able to publish information for them to know how to use the space around them and be comfortable that the space is safe and meets their expectation. And lastly, we needed to digitize our real estate platform. Cisco has 18 million square feet of office real estate, 360 buildings, 86 countries. We spent a lot of money keeping the lights on an asset that we've never been able really to manage. We're pulling 5,000 data points out of this building or out of this office right now to help our people understand how the space is being used, and more importantly, to provide new experience, taking that data to provide new experiences for our employees.
And what's the feedback from the employees been like?
Look, this is really been, it's not just a technology project. This is sociology, psychology, it's all been coming together. But we realized if we created an amazing environment, people will come back. We often talk about this idea that every employee at Cisco wakes up in the morning, they run an equation in their head, return on commute. If my commute's an hour each way, what am I going to get in return? And we need to offer something here that they can't get at home. Increasingly, that's interaction with other employees, other partners, guests like yourself. So, I think it'd be great to show you around. Maybe the first place you ought to go see is the smart building components. My colleague, Bob Cicero, who helped design all the smart building elements, I think he'd love to show you how we're making that happen.
Well, I'm looking forward to that, so let's go there. I'm here now with Bob Cicero. How are you, Bob?
Fantastic. How are you?
Good. You are, Mark sent me over to talk to you about some of the things you're doing in building here. You're the smart building leader, from what I understand.
That's correct.
Maybe you can walk me through some of the design concepts of the building and technology side.
And as Mark mentioned, this 44,000 square feet, we moved this entire building over to low voltage. And we think about low voltage. Why did we do that? Because when we move it to low voltage, the network, it became data. So in this 44,000 square feet, we're pulling up 5,000 data points from every single little component here. Whether it's a lighting sensor, whether it's a
lot of data
sensor, it's a ton of data.
Yeah.
So what we're really trying to do is amplify the intersection of people and space from the standpoint of bringing people, into the office and having a differentiated experience here.
And so how do you make sense of all that?
So how do we take all that data and what do we do from it and visualize it? So what we'll see here is this is actually Cisco Spaces. This is workspaces. So this is a real-time view of the 5,000 data points that we're pulling up out of this environment to understand what's happening in the 44,000 usable square feet here. So you'll see all the rooms here from the standpoint of nomenclature. The red is busy, green is available, and then of course the amber is someone's going to be in there, but feel free to use it because we really want to capture that ad hoc utilization. So those 5,000 data points that I mentioned, those come in from the standpoint of thinking about data points from temperature, humidity, volatile organic compounds, even down to CO2 levels. So we're measuring true carbon dioxide levels here in this environment because we know that is important from the aspect of having a healthy environment for us to all breathe into. We also think about ambient noise. From the ambient noise aspect, is we're prescribing to the well building standards, or we're well health safety rating here. And then from an energy aspect, we're also a LEED silver rating here in a 1972 building with super challenging energy envelope here. So all these data points are being aggregated up. This is a blend across the entire floor plate. So we think about indoor air quality, basically it's volatile organic compounds, a blend of temperature and humidity around the space, and then of course the carbon dioxide levels that I mentioned before to look at how healthy the air is that we're all breathing.
And so that there is an aggregate of all the information.
This is an aggregate view of what's happening. And we look at all the products that we provide from a product standpoint is all of our endpoints have temperature, humidity, VOC, as well as ambient noise. We look at our access points. Our access points now have temperature, humidity, VOC, and our partners that we built this with have all the components to be able to drive lighting fixtures, drive shade motors, and pull all that data together from all those sensors that are in this environment.
And do users also, employees use this to understand space, where they could go when it's occupied next?
So this is the real-time view of what's happening. So as we'll see from a workflow standpoint, folks will then drive their experience throughout the day. We've repositioned this entire office in the back here to be 100% flex. When we think about that 100% flex, I can just jump in there as an employee depending on what I'm trying to do throughout my day.
Hey, Mark, Bob, I was just with Bob and he told me to come over and see you, and you're going to tell me a little bit about the Roosevelt.
Yeah, so this is a great space to talk about how smart building technology can be used to deliver new experiences for employees. If we learned anything as we were designing this space is our employees really value touchless experiences. And, we can always start a meeting, via using our WebEx app, or we could do it via voice commands. We want to see how far we could extend those capabilities too. As Bob shared with you, everything in this building is on the network. Lights, shades, all the environmental controls. So we thought, early on, hey, could we take some of that power of voice commands and extend it to those building features? So in a room like this, you can do, hey, WebEx, tell the room to open the shades.
Okay, opening the shades.
So with that simple command, and now the fact that our shades are on the network, we can actually control shading, and we can do the same thing with lighting. This makes for a really great experience for our employees, and actually creates a great view of New York City.
Yeah, that's original Macy's building there.
Original Macy's building and the Empire State Building.
Oh, yeah. You get a view of the parade?
We do, right down 34th Street. So, these experiences are things that bring people back. What we're trying to do is we're trying to take the friction out of coming to the workplace.
It's interesting, at home, we use voice commands very commonly.
Yeah.
We tell Alexa, we ask Alexa the weather, we tell my Comcast box and change the channel.
Yeah.
I tell my car, right, where to navigate to. But in the corporate workplace, voice commands really haven't made their way in yet, right? So you're trying to change that.
Yeah, and how we did this, I think, is really special too. people have been doing these building integrations for years, but they typically involve some sort of control middleware to make all this magic happen. What's really interesting about this is we've actually used the openness of the video devices, the WebEx video devices, and connected them in software to those building controls. So there's no middleware. That work was done by one of our engineers sitting here in the New York office. Took him a day and a half to do those building controls for lighting and shading. And we put those up on GitHub for customers to use for free. Right? That's how this world is becoming much more seamless and simpler, these integrations.
Yeah, so hopefully this will become a standard part of all companies.
Yeah. You know what I want to show you is how we thought about space differently here. When we thought about designing space in this building or in this office for this project, we realized that collaboration is not a single activity. People collaborate to share information, make decisions, team building, brainstorming. And typically the way projects work in our industry is the facilities team works in a different path than the technology team. And what happens is facilities runs down a path of designing a floor and assigning furniture, and then 3 months before the building opens, or maybe 5 months before, they call IT to tell them, put some technology. Everything's bolted on. We weren't going to have any part of that in this project. So when we thought about the different modalities of how people collaborate, what we thought was, let's think about the technology first, right? Let's think about what supports the technology. A room system with a single screen or dual, a board that allows ideation and whiteboarding. Then after that, let's talk about the furnishings. Let's talk about the orientation of the table. Let's talk about the shape of the table. Let's talk about the surface. Let's talk about posture. People upright, or are they sitting down? And then let's draw a box around it and call that a space and program that into this environment. What we've created out of this project are about between 15 and 18 space standards that we're now using for other projects downstream, which allows us to dramatically reduce our costs, de-risk projects, simplify how we deploy, and actually helps in end user adoption.
So this is it's an interesting room. I noticed the table's a little trapezoidal in shape.
So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to use that trapezoid shape to actually turn your body slightly. What we want to do is we want to create great sight lines between the people seated in the room and the device in front.
People on video, we used to joke that you're looking down the people's ear holes.
Exactly, and nobody's actually looking over anybody, right? So this becomes really very standard for.
So now I can look at the people along the table as well as the camera.
Yeah. Once again, we're trying to capture enough of the face that we want to be able to count the number of people in the room and maybe put nameplates if they've opted into that service. But more importantly, we want everybody, whether they're in the room or remote, to have a great experience.
And I've noticed every room we walk by has had this green first down marker.
Yeah.
What is?
Well, it's a bit of a static design. In some rooms, it tells you you don't want to go too far because it becomes the sort of the guiding principle, the guiding line that says you don't want to get any closer. You're not going to be within the field of view.
So in this room, that's the case. Here,
yeah, that's why this chair is back here.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to talk to you about is how we deployed technology. We thought about technology very differently here too. Actually, look at this video device, and you'd think this is actually mounted on the wall. It's not. It's actually mounted on this credenza. So there's a backplane here. Here's the issue. We're going to be in this space probably 10 years. In that time, we're going to do 3 technology refreshes. Exactly. And every one of those, if we don't manage properly, we're going to have room remediation cost, a few $1,000s, patch and paint, put blocking in, maybe remove electrical. The fact that I can leave power and data at 18 inches, the fact that I can leave this wall unsupported with acoustical panel and change the technology at will, I future-proof the environment.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a big deal as companies think about the evolution of technology.
You know, that's why so many conference rooms have older technology in them, just the change costs. And I'd say in some cases, the cost is less than the time it takes, right?
Yeah.
You have to close the room first.
You get to, exactly. We can actually switch a room here or upgrade a room within a day because it's just a technology. And once again, I also took myself off the critical path as we were designing it to worry about things like elevation and blocking and things like that. It was just, I'm going to put the space, I'm going to put the technology mounted on the furniture. So I think what would be good now is maybe we'll go take a look at some more collaboration spaces in the back office, some of our smaller spaces with my colleague, Chris.
Okay, well, let's go. I'm looking forward to that.
All right.
So Mark, one of the types of rooms that you said is most in demand is a space used for team building. And so this is an example of it. We're going to go in and have a look around and show how this can help facilitate that action.
Yeah, as I said before, we realized when we started this project that collaboration is not a single activity, right? We talked about this before. People collaborate to share information, make decisions, brainstorming and team building. This is a team building space, and it is a space that's actively used and really embodies a lot of the things that we think about when teams want to get together, the type of environment that they'd like to work in.
All right, so we're going to go in. Let's go in and let's bring someone in virtually. How about we do that?
Great. Hey, WebEx. Call Mark Miller's personal room.
Join Mark Miller's personal room, right?
Yes.
Okay, joining Mark Miller's personal room. Are you the host?
Yes.
All right, well, now I'm joined by virtually by Snorri Jespu, who is Cisco's, we call him the device guru, wouldn't you?
Yeah. General manager or devices group?
Well, device guru, I prefer that term, so you might as well. So, Snorri, I know when this office was being designed and built out, you were pretty integral in the design, given the amount of devices around here. And you've been here a couple of times now. Since you've been here and you got to experience it, what are some of your reflections of how this office functions?
So if I could sort of start with the overall challenge, I think coming out of a couple of years of people working from home, how do you actually attract people back into the office? And what type of tasks are you going to do in the office? And how do you make sure that you break down the barriers between people that are working remotely and people that are in the office? And to do that, I think the key question to ask is, how do you make sure the office is more attractive than the home office? Mm-hmm. And when you walk into the one Penn Plaza office and the way that is equipped, it is more attractive than actually working from home. It has the right gear, it has the right setup, and it has the venues where you need to get together. You have obviously the meeting rooms and the boardroom types, but more importantly, you have all of those areas where you can get together, co-create, collaborate, and you could do that with people locally in the office, but also you can actually seamlessly bring people in without building a barrier between people that are working remote and people that are in the office. And I think when I look at what we've done in New York and One Penn Plaza, it's actually getting that right. And that's a combination of the design and the technology and a number of other things.
Yeah, and what I like about this space, Mark, is it isn't just your static board in a room, right? It's got these comfortable chairs. I can sit down, right? I can talk to Snorri as if he's right in front of me. I can get up. We can ideate. Maybe on this side be able to use those chairs. You've got this standing counter back here, so if I'm getting a little stiff, I can move around a little bit. So you've set this up to really be almost like a roll up your sleeves working team building room, correct?
Yeah, and what you see in the space, you don't see a lot of power and you don't see a lot of tables. We want you engaged in the meeting, so right? There's no multitasking going on here. And this is a perfect venue for this. As I shared with you, this is the #1 requested space in our building right now, in our office. People want to be here, right? They want to hold meetings in spaces like that.
And I think the importance of this room, can't be understated here or overstated here, where I've talked to business leaders about their hybrid workforces, and they said once they have a team established, keeping them going working remotely actually isn't that hard. But when you have a new group of people, having them go through that team building process itself is critical to ensure that they get to that level where they trust each other, where they're able to collaborate and know that projects will get done and things. And I think this is a great space to do that in, because he is almost like he's right in front of us.
Yeah, and if I can add one thing to that, CS, is that there are a number of things you can do well from home, whether that's a quarterly business review or an update and things like that. But when you really want to create great products, like great devices, for instance, from Cisco, you need people to get together, and you need all of that energy to start flowing. You need those sparks flying in order to get to those ideas, those new products, those new features. And to do that, you need the right venue. And I think when you look at what we've done in New York as well, We've gone from having about 70% individual spaces, 30% shared spaces. We've turned that on its head. Now it's like 70, 80% meeting rooms, huddle spaces, places where you can ideate. And then between those meetings, you can actually go and camp somewhere and work for an hour or two as well. But I think changing that ratio, and I think that what we are pushing for is to make sure you work on the right things when you're in the office, and then other things you can do from home. And then when you get into this office, you have the tools, you have the places to sit, and it's inviting.
It's all about choice, right?
Yes.
What we've done with the portfolio is enabled true choice in where you want to work. The breadth of the devices portfolio allows us to video enable every type of space, from a one-person quiet room all the way up to our boardroom, with great technology experiences across the entire scale.
Yeah, and I think the word used there, device, I think that's something that's often overlooked, right? Is the importance that the device plays in the overall experience. I think we certainly know that in the consumer space when you look at the popularity of things like iPhones, but I think in the business world, a lot of times we go with a cheap device, we go with, something that's good enough, and then you have an experience that's really not good enough, right? Yeah. So I don't know if this is picked up on our recording, but the audio quality here, it's unbelievable.
And then you have that going together with the features and the suite that you're able to whiteboard. You're able to use Slido for polls in a call. You're able to have all of those rich features in addition to that goes together with it. For us to just start to whiteboard and collaborate together, even if it's 6,000 kilometers between you and where I am, we could do that, and I would not feel left out. This is a super experience for me as well, coming into New York remotely from Oslo this evening. And what that proves is that even if I have to be remote today, I'm not a second-rate citizen. I'm actually front bench and able to then get that done. And I think that makes the big difference.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, sir. I know it's your dinner time there, so glad you were able to share with us your experiences. Chris.
Hey, how we doing?
So I'm joined now by Chris Palermo. He's a collaboration specialist.
Yeah.
Mark Miller sent me over to talk to you about the different types of huddle rooms you have here.
Excellent. Yeah, so what you'll see, we're now on the employee side of the building. So what you can expect, a little bit of a different experience. Back there on the large meeting room, partner, customer area, larger events. Back here, relatively small. So, you'll see if we come into here, we have one of our huddle rooms, and our huddle rooms come in a few different flavors. We have our traditional, which is what this is. Just your traditional desk with the video device here. You can come in here with, 3, however many people, have your call. If we go down to this next one over here, you'll see this is much more of a casual setup.
It is.
So traditional, casual. You'll see there's really no desk here other than that small little one for the WebEx Navigator.
Sit down, have a little conversation.
Exactly. So, again, the idea is present different types of furniture layouts, different types of technology for these different spaces of huddle room. And there's actually one more that we have, which is more of our innovation space.
Oh, this is quite good.
Yeah, so this, we've got the round table, we've got the WebEx board instead, which is actually on a lift. So if you're whiteboarding, you can have it up high. If you want to have the camera angle a little bit lower, you can bring it down. And, I can actually do that with one finger.
Wow.
Nice and easy. But, what this gives you the ability, if you want to do some whiteboarding in here, share some files, mark up something, you can do right in here. So the idea, again, give different types of layouts of furniture and technology so that people can find what it is they need.
And I noticed when we were outside, there's light indicators to tell you if the room's being busy or not.
Yeah. So, you have that ability to just look right down the hall and see red. Up, there's a green one. That means that's something that I might be able to go into. So huddle spaces, think 3 to 5 people. Quiet rooms, really your 1 to 2 person. So, if we come in here real quick.
So this is where I come and do my work.
So this is where you would come and take your call if you wanted a little bit of audio privacy. We don't want people to camp out here.
Okay.
And one of the ways we try to avoid that is we have the uncomfortable chair. So after about an hour or so, you don't want to camp out here anyway. All these spaces have the sit-stand desks. The one-person space has the WebEx desk. The two-person has the WebEx Desk Pro, so a little bit larger. But the idea here again is that you would sit out in the common area, the community tables and our hot desk area, and then when you have to peel out, you would come in here for your hour or however long you'd need it.
It's different spaces, different purposes.
Perfect. I love that. So now, again, these are not the places we necessarily want people camping out for the full however long they work during the day. But where we do want them to camp out is down at the hot desk area. So let me show you that next.
Okay, looking forward to that. Let's go. So here we are in the hot desk area, back with Chris.
Yep.
Now, when I think of hot desking, I think of complicated PIN codes. I think of user frustration.
Sure.
Explain to me why this is a different type of hot desking experience.
So this, you literally just walk up, tap we use our WebEx Desk Hub for our device here for hot desking. QR code, scan it with my camera, tap it, and while that logs me in, you'll see that's all it was. It was just scanning the QR code, super quick. It's asking me how long I want to book the desk. Let me say 7 o'clock.
You're working late.
Now, and it tells me, actually, I should be in my boss's boss meeting, right? Staff meeting right now.
Yeah, your meeting.
But yeah, so just by scanning that QR code, this makes this desk mine for however long I need it. If I step away, it's still reserved for me. And the value here, I don't have to put my coat on the chair and say, hey, this is where I'm going to be working for the day. It knows that this is my space. It tells people Chris is here, and it pulls up my calendar. So super easy. And that whole hot desk mode, we can put that on any WebEx device. It doesn't just have to be the hub. It can be the WebEx Desk, the Desk Pro, the Mini. So we have a lot of customers who do that approach as well.
So in addition to the hub, I noticed there's also a WebEx camera.
Yes.
So you get a little bit higher quality video than you
Absolutely.
would with the integrated camera.
Yes, and with the WebEx Desk camera, great USB camera, and what I tell everybody, I keep mine in my go bag, and I once dropped it down 2 flights of stairs onto a concrete landing pad, and this thing bounced. You don't see things that would be able to bounce in a USB camera.
And I carry one of these too, and I do want to say, from personal use, I used to think that and I've got a MacBook Pro, which is a pretty expensive device.
Yeah.
That the camera on there was good enough. I don't need that. When the lighting is low and things aren't quite perfect, this makes a huge difference in quality.
Sure.
Also, if you're trying to get a wide shot, you can't really do that with your PC as well. So,
Yeah.
So I can attest to the quality of that camera.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, Chris. Well, thanks for that. There was a great example of why this type of hot desk is different than the hot desk we've all become accustomed to.
Sure. Yeah, so where I think we should go next, since we saw now the super small individual type of setup, let's go to the first class panorama room and see what it's like for the biggest conference room we
Which is
have.
the opposite of this, I would think.
Yes.
Mark, I'm back with you here. I just finished up with Chris in the huddle spaces, and he told me I had to come check out this room.
Yeah. So this is the latest in Panorama immersive video
And this has been the flagship product
for Cisco for a number of years, but this is the latest iteration of this. This is Room Panorama, right? It's a fully integrated system that you see there.
What's here? It looks like the table extends.
Exactly. It's sort of, what's interesting is this table, which is manufactured by a company called Salamander, is called an infinity table. Because as you sit on it, it actually looks like you're extending into infinity. What's really, really interesting about this is people are going to expect new experiences in the office they can't get at home. And immersive is one of these, right? And this doesn't need to be 14 seats. This could be 6, 8, 10, 12. You see the largest version here. But this creates great opportunities for teams to come together when you're going to have a long meeting or it's a really critical meeting, right? So what you'll get is the ability to bring multiple rooms in together. And if they have the same table, it looks like they're in the same room. And with directional audio, when somebody's speaking on the left side of the table, it's coming out of the left side of the room or into the room here. So it's pretty amazing experience.
Yeah, this reminds me almost Star Trek like, I guess, and
Yeah.
things that they predicted the future would be.
Yeah.
So this is perfect, I assume, for board meetings,
Yeah.
things where you want to actually have that experience, like the person sitting across the table from you.
Yeah, and I think those of us who grew up in this industry knew some of the challenges of the original immersive systems, the original telepresence, where you had to worry about things like wall color and the shape of the table and things like that. Look, we've normalized a lot of that. They're much simpler to deploy right now, and they come at different scales. So they come at a different point for all use cases.
Well, if the goal is to give us an experience we're not going to have at home, this is an experience we're not going to have at home.
Yeah.
So here we are back in the lobby. We've done a complete tour of the building. You've done a fantastic job with revamping the space, Mark. I was really impressed with it. So thanks a lot for that tour.
I really appreciate you coming in and allowing us to share their story. And the fact is, the reality is every customer that we talk to coming through there is looking to solve the same problem. The idea that hybrid work is something that we're all looking to address and figuring out what the new normal is going to be. This is our how we think we're going to position to this. We offer this as an insight for other customers if they'd like to come in here and take a look. But the reality is we all have to find our own answer.
Yeah, so if you're struggling with what to do with hybrid work and you happen to be in the New York area, come visit the space. I encourage you to do this. You'll see an experience like you've never seen before. You have this also available in a couple of other cities, correct?
Yeah, we're standing up right now. We have one in Chicago. We're standing one up in Atlanta and Paris, and more to come.
So hybrid is the way forward, but you have to create an experience that's different for your employees. So I'm ZS Caravel. That ends our ZK tour. Don't forget to click subscribe, and I'll see you next time.